time on market, overpricing, 100%. We're going back to price. If their price point is at all above what the consumer and the market's willing to pay, it's going to cost them more than that gap, right? Because it's going to sit and they're going to get less and less percentage of what they originally asked for. If they don't adjust fast enough to a market that is trending downward or flat, they're going to lose every week that's on the market.
Thank you so much. Joe Arnao is joining us at Make Yourself at Home. Joe is the owner of 4W Strategic Consulting in Wake Forest here in North Carolina. He provides coaching, training, recruiting solutions, all for brokers and real estate agents. He's got 20 plus years in the industry. He's worked with Keller Williams. He's worked for Relevate, for William Raveis, right? That's right. Overseeing growth, agent opportunities, multi-office operations. Plus, Joe actually was an agent for many years of Destination Realty. So welcome, Joe. Thank you so much. Make yourself at home.
It's great to be here, Dee.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, Joe and I are both in the real estate industry, so it's going to be a lot of bantering, but we wanted to give an open door to consumers of what to expect, what to look for when you're seeing an agent, because a lot of times you guys are interviewing one person and one person only. And so we wanted to give you the tools that you need to be able to make the most educated, impactful information in your biggest investment yet. Right?
Absolutely.
So what makes a great real estate agent in your mind?
A great real estate agent is one that would actually be rather referred to as an advisor than an agent. And they would come in looking at your property as your investment, getting to understand the seller or the buyer, in whichever case it is, what their real goals are, who they are, why they live where they live, what's their big whys, where's their life going, and how does real estate fit into that? It's not just about opening doors or having fancy social media pictures. Those help if it's of the property, yet it should be all about professionalism, the market knowledge, and solely caring about that individual, whoever it is, buyer or seller, and making that client feel like their best interest is all that agent cares about.
So that's really how to spot one is, are they caring about what you're looking into, what your goals are?
Yeah. So if the first questions are for a buyer, are you pre-approved? When are you buying? How many bedrooms do you want? And just go down that list of features that they're looking for. If that's the first start, they're just selling you something off the rack, and they're just selling. They're just trying to find you a product. If they come in and start asking, why are you moving? What are you trying to accomplish? What's your time frame? And what is it you really want? And they understand the person and their goals, then they can actually serve them at the highest level.
And make sure that they're finding. So a lot of my clients will tell me, we're looking for our forever home. And I tell them, I said, that is the ultimate goal. No one likes to move, period. Right. That's the worst part about what we do is moving. The ultimate goal is to make sure that you find a one-size-fit home and that you don't need another one. But unfortunately, life changes. Yeah. And I tell people all the time, my grandparents-in-law moved 3 times the last 3 years of their lives. So it does happen that you do have transition, but if you can have a home that you can move into and grow into, that makes it even so much the better, because you can spend multiple years in there and gain so much more equity.
Right.
But we do have to look at the reality of you move in and your stuff collects and has babies because you're like, I didn't bring this. Did you bring this? Where did this come from? So you're not constantly moving, because I don't know anybody who loves to constantly move.
No way. It's stressful. I don't care how many homes you've purchased. It's stressful. You can't do without it. Moving, packing things up, figuring out what you want to take, timing, jobs, kids, all that, it has to be thought of when you're moving. It's never that smooth of a process.
And we try to make it as smooth as possible.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like what skills matter most to consumers or just in today's standards, because that's why I constantly am working to try and make it a smooth transition. But so we're always trying to hone our skills. So what have you found to be the skill that matters most to buyers or sellers?
Keeping agents got to keep their emotions out of it. It's not their emotions. They're the ones that are supposed to be the calm, keeping everybody in check, keeping the reality, keeping the goal in mind, right? And then don't bring any drama from the other agent. That other side that's the job of the real estate agent, to make sure that's going. And the consumer does not need to hear about that or see it. Now, I've heard people that they love to bring up the drama they're going through because it makes them feel like they got it handled. But the seller doesn't want it. The buyer doesn't want to hear that. They don't need that.
Who needs extra stress?
I know. I agree.
All right. So I always tell my clients, I'm like, there's never a time to panic. Unless my hair's on fire, there's never a time to panic, because we can figure it out. And that's all it is. Let's figure it out. But my husband and I say this a lot. We're like, you'll have an agent that you're conversing with and they're like, my seller's never going to take that. Have you asked them?
Yeah.
You got to ask first. You don't know. It has happened. My seller's not signing that. My buyer's not signing that. Okay, the last time I checked, they're the only ones who know. And so whenever they say that, I'm like, hey, look, I get it. But I need you to ask them and let's see if we can work it out. I'm not going to fix something that I don't know is broken yet.
It's not the agent's negotiation to have that. They don't have that power. They don't have that say. They're there to guide the client through that process. And it's the client's decisions and their desires that have to be translated. And there should be guidance on that. I was actually talking to someone this morning. They're like, what if we counter an offer like this, but with this, whatever it is, right? And I said, well, there's three things that can happen. They can accept it, they can push it back and say no, or they can counter. You're going to know.
And I give that as an option. You have three options: yes, no, and hey, let's do this instead. We talked about how sometimes agents because we're human, we do get our emotions involved, but to be able to go, okay, this isn't about me. I got to step back. Let's bring it back to, hey, let's go to the clients. But what are some common red flags that clients should be looking for?
Yeah. If somebody's quick to say yes to the price, yes to let's get it down, we can make that happen. Or they come in with a price, if you're selling a home and it's higher than you expected, that sounds strangely enough, that's a red flag. You have to be cautious. That agent isn't just trying to grab that piece of business from you, to get the listing, so that they can have something on the board and potentially sell that and then get other buyers and other interests going from that listing, because listings are gold. Everybody wants the listing. The reality behind real estate, we all used to hear location. I don't know who came up with that. I counter that with price, because there's a price for every location. That's why they have these little pink houses on the highway, right at the turnoff. That's why a house on the waterfront, same square footage, is going to be a lot more expensive than a house. It's location, yet it's price. It's price sensitive. Everything's price sensitive. There's a price for a crappy property there's a price for a great property. If it's wrong, if it's over on either one of those, it's not going to sell.
Yeah, if you just think about 2008. I've been doing this since 2008. Think about all the homes that sold for under what they were originally sold for, because there was a huge correction. So again, price. So a common red flag is a yes man.
Yeah, absolutely. And someone that's on the buy side, it's the agent. And I got caught in this once. And it wasn't intentional. And it wasn't that I wasn't doing the right thing for a client. I was working with a buyer, and he's doing his inspection, and came across something that was a big deal to him. And it was super common to me. It's common. And it's really not a big issue. The inspector said it isn't. I know it's not because I've seen it a lot. And I mentioned it to him that if they can do something, they may not, because I explained that it's common. And he took that as I was not going to represent him and argue that for him. And I did. I went in, I asked for it, and it was just the perception that the way I said it made him think that I was not looking out for his best interests. So the agent really needs to make sure what they're saying, they mean it, and they're looking out for, on the buy side, negotiating side, whatever it is. Okay, I will present that. This is how I'm going to present it. And we have 3 ways it's going to work. Right?
So like one of the things I tell my clients is like, there's going to be things that I'll tell you that are not functioning for their intended purpose. But you have to tell me if it's a big deal or not. Right. Said you have to have a line in the sand. Whatever your line in the sand is, we will let them know. Look, this is what you have to fix. If you're going to push back on it, then I'm sorry, this isn't the house for us. And that's okay. Said it's costly, especially in our state, but it is okay. Because you can always walk away. That's the point of that.
We got to explain the state. Because if somebody's outside of the state, what does that mean? Because this was a mind boggler when I first moved to North Carolina.
Yeah, in the state of North Carolina, we have the ability to get out of a contract during your what we call due diligence period. This is the time that you get to investigate a home. Now, in our state, we actually pay for that time up front. Now, I'm in Charlotte, so I actually straddle both states. So I actually can serve the South Carolina area as well. And so they don't pay for their due diligence up front. They pay for it when they back out. So it's negotiated up front, but the money doesn't change hands until they do back out. In North Carolina, the money changes hands up front. So you have the right to back out.
Yeah. The buyer's sending it, it's writing that check right to the seller. Yeah. Doesn't come back.
Yeah. Except for at the closing table.
Yes. Oh, it's applied. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's when it's applied at the closing table.
Yeah.
All right. So how would the meaning of home have changed over the last 20 years? Because I've been doing this for 18. You've been doing this for 20. So how has the meaning of home changed in that time frame?
I think, obviously COVID had a huge impact on it. I was doing most of my business up on the coasts and the mountains, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Cape Cod. And it was always primarily a second home market. And we have the beach on Cape Cod. That's where I was living. That's where most of my business was. So everybody would go to the beach. And then all of a sudden, people wanted pools. This is before COVID. People wanted pools because there were sharks was starting to show up. And that was part of it. And also people started to want to be at home. They were entertaining more at home. The kitchens became outdoor kitchens. Some of them are just incredibly beautiful, better than some indoor kitchens. And the home became a real entertainment center for a lot of people. Even those that don't entertain still wanted that stuff, which I don't know why, but they did. So I've seen that trend. And then when COVID hit, that just blew up. That really became how people live. They work at home. They're there all the time. They want their spaces to be different, so they're not always sitting in the same space all the time. And so I've seen that over the years has been a big transition.
I was talking to a designer yesterday, and I was like, we were talking about multifunctional spaces. This is my office, but it's also my recording studio. So we were talking about how every one of us uses our spaces in different ways. Even before, the dining room table always was the homework center if you had children. So there were always those pieces, or you always have. I have 4 boys, and there's always they're in their 20s now, so it's a little different, but there was always a toy chest in the living room. Why? Because the toys migrated from their bedrooms. It never seemed to change. It's just all of our rooms are always multifunctional, but during COVID, that office space became prime real estate. Talk about price, and people were looking for any home that had a designated office, not an extra bedroom, but a designated office.
Yeah, that became a big deal.
Yeah. What major trends are shaping buyer behavior that you're seeing?
That's a good question. I've seen, depends on who it is. I'm in the city-ish now. There's 2 dichotomies, and the people that want to be within 15 minutes of their work, which coming from Boston and living where I was, there wasn't a 15 minutes to anywhere.
Unless you're walking.
Yeah. So that's possible in the Triangle area still. And there's a lot of new inner city, towns that are building their centers and their villages to be able to accommodate that. And they're doing the mixed use. It's phenomenal. I love that trend because it's smart development. It helps the environment. It helps community. It's really healthy. And then there are people that are just done and they want to disappear and they want to be in the middle of nowhere or in a big home. That's always been a trend. So that's not really new.
One of the trends that I've noticed, and mind you, I've lived in Raleigh. I actually lived in Holly Springs. Okay. When that was back in 2000. We moved to Charlotte in 2004. So I've been here for 20 years, but technically I've been as close to a native Charlottean as you can get because we moved up here when I was 10. But one of the things that I've seen is most buyers, and this was before I got into real estate, most everybody wanted a 4-bedroom ranch. That's what everybody's looking for, is a 4-bedroom ranch. But most builders, a ranch is very expensive to build. So what did they do? They started putting the primary on the main floor and built up because it's cheaper to build up than it is to build out. But one of the trends that I'm noticing is, like you said, people are done. They want their family compound. They want land that everybody can live on and they can all share in the responsibilities of each other. So if a kid's sick, somebody else is at home, that they can all float back and forth, but everybody's got a place that they can go.
Yeah. The other thing that's changed a lot, people don't want to do anything to their home. They want to move in. They want it done. Unless they're going to negotiate, or it comes to price. If the price is right and they have the aptitude and the desire to do their own work, it works. However, most people want to just jump into a house that's done. HGTV, that's the curse.
Yeah. So do you think that is because of the 2008 to, I guess I shouldn't say 2008. I should say from 2010 to about 2015, the whole, and I call it the HGTV curse, that everybody was moving into these, we don't care, it's just 4 walls, it can be in any condition, we can paint, we can redo bathrooms. And so the kids, like our kids, like I said, my sons are all in their 20s, they saw us buy or move into these homes, replace floors, paint walls, replace bathrooms, change kitchens. And so now all these kids are coming up going, I literally want a key, drop my stuff, and I can live.
Yeah.
And that was what my thought was. It was that whole downturn.
Yeah, and it also has to do with home office too. People are working at home. They don't have the time to be able to have somebody come in. They're not leaving a contractor in the house while they go to work. It's way more difficult.
I call this the best and worst thing that ever happened to us, because it took them, I think I read an article that said it took them 40, was it 40? No, it took them 100 years to get us to a 40-hour work week, and it took less than 10 to destroy it.
Yeah.
Because everybody expects you to be accessible because we have these things in our pockets.
Oh, let's talk about that. Let's talk about accessibility. So this summer I did a survey. I dialed 600 plus numbers for real estate agents, and they weren't the top agents. They were good agents, producing solid agents, the heart of the business. And 30% answered the phone. Of the 70% that didn't, only 4% actually called back. So for a consumer, call the agent, see if they pick up the phone, see what their message says. That matters. I heard the one the other day. I wish I wrote it down. It was so well spoken, and it was simple. It was like, I can't get to the phone right now. Your call is important. Please leave a message and I will get back to you right away. Super simple. Not asking for a referral. Not saying that I'm at a client doing business. It's BS. I'm sorry, D, I don't know what you said.
No, you're exactly. All right. So right now I'm annoyed at Medicare. I'm annoyed at health insurance. I'm annoyed because I was not the kid who was dialing. Is your refrigerator running? You need to go get. I didn't. So somebody said it is. We are now getting bombarded with all these phone calls because we made phony phone calls as a kid. I made one. So why are they calling me?
So this is what I'm getting those all the time.
Yeah.
And they're coming from Massachusetts. They're coming from all over. I don't know. I pick up the phone every time. I'm there. I answer it. If I don't hear something within a couple seconds or a second, I hang up. Because if you say hello, there's someone on the other end waiting to say hello. They're going to be there. If they're silent, that means it's fake. And it's so much quicker than looking up the number, seeing who it is. And the other one too is we as agents, we're business owners. We spend a lot of money, a lot of time keeping our name out there, keeping our contact information out there. For 70% of the people not to pick up the phone, that's where the business is. That's where clients want responsiveness, right? That's just pick up the phone. And if they say, text me for a quicker response, am I inconvenience you? I'm the client, I'm the customer. I didn't mean to inconvenience you. So, this is a message to real estate agents too. Please, it's the client. Pick up the phone, respond right back. A quick text, they're automated texts. You can hit a button, say, hey, I'll call you right back. Legit, in a meeting.
And I remember that it was one of the agencies that I was with that said, you need to have specific hours that you return phone calls. You need to have a time between 1 and 3 and a time between 5 and 7. And I'm like, at the end of the business day or at lunch, I would rather be answering the phone calls. But I am one that I answer every single phone call that I can. And I tell every single one of my clients, I won't ever ask you to hold while I answer another phone call unless it's my kids' school. My kids are now out of school. That's the only time I'm going to ask you to hold, because I wouldn't ask you to hold because I'm not going to ask my other clients to hold. I will call you back as soon as I'm done, and we will walk through each and every step. But I do. My husband laughs at me because he goes, you are the nicest person to all the salespeople on the phone because I give them the opportunity. I say, this is Dee. How can I help you? And yes, if there's a break, that means it's a robocall.
Yeah.
But then I go, I hope you have a fantastic day. And then I hang up. In case it's somebody going, you can't hear me? Hello, are you there? You can't hear me? Are you sure you can't hear me? So I always, just in case, I don't make it snarky. I'm like, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hang up. Now, most of the time, it's to the salespeople. But just in case there is a technology issue, I want people to know.
And that's a feel-good, positive thing to tell you. That's nice. I like that.
All right, so we talked about how remote work and lifestyles changed our homes. Do you think that shifted or reshaped any of our priorities?
In far as what they're looking for and picking?
Yeah, because we have remote. I always laughed and said that this whole COVID thing really screwed up snow days because the kids don't have snow days anymore. No, we can do telelearning today.
That's right.
Darn it. But was there any kind of how did remote work and lifestyle shifts reshape priorities? I'm wondering in real estate wise or just in consumering.
So the ability to work from home did open it up the opportunities for those people that wanted more space to be able to work from home. They didn't want to be downtown. They wanted to be alone. They wanted to be on Cape Cod. It went crazy because people can work from anywhere. Why not do it on the beach? Until February when everything's closed and it's too cold to go outside. It's great. January, February. So yeah, it did allow people to be more mobile, to really live where they want to live. And then that location became optional. It became wherever they wanted to be, which is great.
What should every homeowner or buyer know before choosing? Now, this one is what should every homeowner know before choosing an agent or deciding to sell?
Ask for experience. And I don't mean they have to have a lot of sales. They could be brand new. And if a brand new agent comes to you and says, hey, I'm brand new, I still want your business. Why? How? They can have a phenomenal background behind a team behind them, their broker or their manager, whatever it is, helping them through the entire process. And if they're open and honest about that, and they still come across professional, they know their numbers, they know what's going on in the market, and they're treating you like a client, as an advisor to a client, then give them a shot. Be careful of those, and I know a lot of people are going to be mad at me for this, but I'm just going to say, I won't say what not to look for. I'll say what to look for. Look for agents that have your best interests at heart. Look on social media. Look at what they're doing on social media. Are they providing value or are they doing glam shots? And you and I were joking about that before, where they're doing slow motion, getting out of a Mercedes Benz, and they're all in the designer clothes, and there's nothing about real estate. There's no value in that. It's pretty. They look successful. How does that help a client sell a house? What does that bring? So real value, not fluff. Check out their social media. Check out their LinkedIn profile. Look at what they're doing and choose them on that. Not because they're a friend of a friend. Or actually, that is a good spot to find somebody. If that friend had a phenomenal experience with an agent, that's fantastic. And that agent was professional. If it's their cousin Vinny, you might want to be, hey, I have my cousin Vinny. He's doing great. Just be careful.
It's funny because you talked about brand new agents. And I always told the agents that literally just got out of school, I'm like, you still have to earn your business just like we do. I said, and be honest. Say, hey, look, you're my first client, but who better? Because you're the only person that I have to look after. These other people have got a million. I'm only looking after you. So you know that I'm going to be at your beck and call. So yeah. I always joked that way to help the consumer know who to look for. But I talk about it all the time. I said, in Charlotte, there's 25,000 of us. spit and you'll hit one. Every person knows 10 real estate agents, but out of those 10, there's only 3 that they know and trust that they would be willing to put their home in their hands. And yeah, you may know a whole bunch of them, but right. If you don't trust them, you're there. Why would you trust them with something that is their entire life savings wrapped up? And they may have a really good 401k, but most people, their home is their biggest investment because their 401k, they put in $100, $500, $1,000, couple $1,000s. We're not talking 6 and 7 figures that they put into their 401k every week.
Right. Yeah. One other thing, going back to our phone calling conversation, if I were a consumer, I would want to know, what is your communication protocol? How often are you going to call? What's going to be like? Is it going to be texting? Is it going to be phone calls? Is it emails? How are we going to stay in touch? How often and when? So like in your instance, you say I call people between 12 and 1 or 5 and 7. Perfect. They know what to expect to call. Now, I know a group of agents that they call their clients every Tuesday. Every Tuesday. It's phenomenal. So your clients are waiting. They have questions on a Saturday. They're not calling you Saturday night because they know on Tuesday you're going to be there to answer their questions.
I go over with my clients. My apologies. I go over with my clients. I said, how often do you want me to call you? Anytime you want to ask a question, pick up the phone and call. I have no problems with that. But I said, especially like my sellers are on Tuesday, buyers are on Thursday. Nice. Why on Thursday? Because we're getting ready for the weekend. What do you want to see? Has anything piqued your interest? I know these are the ones that I like for you, but do you like those? But on Tuesday, I asked my sellers, I'm like, especially since the market slowed down here recently. I'm assuming Raleigh is similar, that y'all are starting to see a lull, that homes are staying on the market a little bit longer. We have more inventory on the market. It's still not enough, but we have more. Yeah. So I'm like, do you want to hear from me weekly if we don't have any updates in regards to buyers? Or do you want to hear from me monthly with the exception of, hey, we have a buyer who's interested?
Yeah.
So we talk about that. So yeah, communication.
It's huge. And if they're on a team, who on the team is going to be touched in control through which process is that agent going to be part of? What process is the teammate going to be part of, so that there's congruity to the whole process. They know who's coming in, who's talked to, and that's laid out. So there's no surprises. I wanted a listing once because the listing agent went in and dazzled. She's phenomenal. She's a really great agent. That was the last time they heard from her. Yeah. So teams are great if they're done right. I think teams are phenomenal if they're done right. Yeah, it's just ask a lot of questions. Make sure they're going to be there when you want them to be there. They're going to guide you through what you want. It's just a lot of questions to be asked by the agent, and just to make sure they know what the client wants.
That's a very good point, because there's a lot of times that you're working with these or name brand billboard agents that aren't even in the state, that have moved their way up and now they have their own brokerage, but it's still under their name umbrella. And most people come in and say, I want the name on the door. Then you need to know who you're going to be communicating with, because the last thing anybody wants to feel is pawned off on somebody else.
Right.
Or transferred. How many of us have been stuck in phone tree hell? What costs sellers the most money?
Time on market. Overpricing. 100%. We're going back to price. If their price point is at all above what the consumer and the market's willing to pay, it's going to cost them more than that gap, right? Because it's going to sit and they're going to get less and less percentage of what they originally asked for. If they don't adjust fast enough to a market that is trending downward or flat, they're going to lose every week that's on the market. They're losing a certain percentage. And I just saw Lawrence Yun, an economist for the National Association, and it was staggering, the percentage difference between a house that is priced right, sells quickly, compared to a house that has to do price adjustments along the way. And it's a big difference. And it's not just from when that happens, that it's typical that even at that last price that finally gets the market to pay attention, the negotiation is even bigger than the first one, because they know they're vulnerable. They know it's been on the market for a long time. They feel like they have some weight. So the buyer does. So they're going to negotiate heavier. I did this with my own home. It drove me crazy. Luckily, my sister-in-law was my agent when I was selling our own home on the Cape. And we priced it well below the market, knowing that I had a pool. I was the only pool in the market in the whole county that was going to be in my price point, under $750,000. There was one between $750,000 and $1 million, and then that's it. So I knew we had something, and I was freaking out. We're too low. She's, Joe, shut up. and we got so many eyes on that. We got so much traffic. I got my reach price immediately. So the consumer that has a confident agent that knows how to price it and is willing and can explain that if it's just under what the market wants, you're going to attract people that are under the price point, that's their reach, and then you're going to find the people that are at the bottom or right in the middle. So you're attracting
all three into that.
And that creates energy, and from that energy, you get the price you want, if not better.
We did something similar. We had the biggest house in the entire neighborhood, which, and most buyers don't, that you don't want the biggest home in the neighborhood because you're the price setter every single time. So this was somebody who was selling the biggest home in this neighborhood, and this neighborhood did not do 7 figures. Nobody had sold for 7 figures. And I looked at him and I said, if we place this house anywhere else in the Charlotte metro region, you would get 7 figures, but you're not in a 7-figure area. You have to trust me. We need to do painting. We need to do flooring. We need to do this. And we have to be priced just under 7 figures. And we got him to price it just under 7 figures. And we got him more than $50,000 more for his home. But it was one of those things. Most sellers that we talk to, they struggle with that because we give them a range and they always want to be on the high side. We all do. I don't want to leave money on the table. Of course. Nobody wants to leave money on the table. I want every single $100 bill, $1,000 bill we can go after. But we have to be able to price it because otherwise you're not going to catch the people that you want.
Yeah, it's not the agent that sets the price. It's not the seller that sets the price. It's the market. The market is going to tell us what it's worth.
Oh, my dad says it all the time. My dad's in Folly Beach. I'm originally from Charleston, South Carolina. So my dad's in Folly Beach. He's on James Island. And he gets phone calls every single day. What do you want to sell your house for? My dad's nowhere near the water. Nowhere near. He's on James Island. He's not near Folly Beach. I want $1 million. Where'd you get that number? You didn't ask that. You asked, what do I want to sell my house for? And that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, I don't think buyers or sellers care about brokerage. They don't care about brokerage differences. I don't think they care whether it's Remax or Coldwell Banker or Keller Williams or Allen Tate or Howard Hand. They don't care. Do consumers really consider brokerage or brokerage differences like agents? Because agents consider that. But do consumers consider brokerages at all?
I love that question. Thank you. I wanted to talk about this. Yes and no. So it's the agent that matters, right? They are their own brand. You can have a phenomenal agent in the lowest recognized brand name, and you can have a lousy one in the most considered prestigious name. So really what matters is how does that agent utilize what that brokerage is bringing to them? So you look at, I know some agents, there are definitely some firms that are considered to be in the luxury market where they feel there's that prestige. And in that market, sometimes that matters. There's just that level of, they want the right company. There's just a prestige around it. There's a look and feel that some of the high value clients want. And there are some that it doesn't matter. It's a hard one to put a finger on, because the ones that are up at that certain level that do a lot of the marketing in that very high end, they're hard to know. That's a tough one, because they are getting the calls, right? There is name brand recognition on the higher level. On the luxury side, you can be in a luxury brokerage, and if that agent doesn't have the connections and the ability to be around the wealthy people and be able to communicate with them and understand what their needs are and build confidence and trust as an advisor, then it doesn't matter what company they're with.
Correct, because that's one of the things that we talk about. Being the brokerage that I am with, we do have a target specifically for luxury agents. I'm part of that brokerage, that council, that we actually can target the top tier individuals when a home comes on the market, even before it comes on the market, to to get it the exposure that it needs to the right people at the right time.
Yeah, they're looking at, the affluent are looking at different means of communication than regular people, other people, I shouldn't say regular, than others. So there are definitely channels that some firms can afford because of their breadth of agents and breadth of business in that market, where smaller firms, unknown firms, or firms that are not in that sector can't afford to be there. So on that level, it matters. Anything other than that, I don't think the brokerage has power over how that agent is going to perform. I place agents. That's what I do. I help agents find the best possible brokerage for them. And the name of the brokerage is not part of the formula. It's what is that? How does that agent work? How do they want to communicate? What's the technology they need? What's the atmosphere and the culture they need to be around? And there's a brokerage that'll fit that. And then that agent's going to be phenomenal, because they get to grow in sync with the company. They're working together. They have the same program, the same ideas, same philosophies, and those people flourish. So it does matter in that sense. If there's that mismatch or that match, that's where it matters. That's where the brokerage matters in every sense. On the high end, it does change up a bit.
What is the wrong fit, or how does the wrong fit impact their real estate experience? Since you said you place agents, how does the wrong fit impact the agent's experience?
So the consumer's experience or the agent's experience?
The agent's experience. And I would love to see in turn, how does it trickle down to the consumer? Because it always affects all of us.
We can all tell when somebody is in a state of flow, a flow state, where they're actually in their own skin, they're performing, they feel good, their confidence is there, their business is in control. That's what a good brokerage does for the agent. It allows them to find that flow state, to find that ability to grow to whatever level it is they want to grow. And that's where the value is for the agent and the brokerage. For the consumer, now you have an agent who has a solid business. They have a business that's growing the way they want it to grow. They're not concerned about the commission that they're going to be making from the client. They're concerned about the client. They're concerned about their business continuity and being focused on the service of their client, so that it'll grow from there. That client will recommend other clients, and it'll just continue to grow. So that's how it trickles down to the agent, to the consumer, where you have an agent that's confident, they know what they're doing, they're in control, they might be coming in on two wheels sometimes because they got a lot going on, yet they still have everything under control. And they're not, and when you do look them up online and you do see what they're doing, it's professional, it's about the market, they know what they're talking about, and they have insight that you couldn't find on the daily news, because people should not be listening to the news about what they want, what's going on in the market, for sure.
The news is always coast to coast, and real estate is hyper local. It's always right here, where it's a pinpoint, where the news is a map. Yeah.
Yeah, and negative sells. It took COVID. It took COVID for John Krasinski, I think his name is not, I don't know, the guy from The Office, he'd come out and do good news. Because everything was so negative. He's like, I got to come out with a good news. So he started doing the good news program. That doesn't sell. That's not in business anymore. It didn't take. Negative sells. So you have to the consumer must talk to their agent to get the real scoop of what's going on in the marketplace. And if that agent's echoing exactly what they're hearing on the news, they need better insight.
I mean, we're constantly always reading, always growing. And if you're not.
Yeah, you look at doing that survey. One of the things I learned, and every day I talk to agents, and there are some that blame the economy. Interest rates. I need interest rates to stop so my business can come back. These interest rates are great. Historically, they're great. So, no, that's not the case. And then I talk to agents who are flourishing, best year ever. And they didn't do anything different that they had done before. They just did it in the right manner. They just focused on the business, stayed tuned in, put their head down, didn't listen to all the negativity, serve their clients the best. Their clients are winning. They're winning. It's there.
Joe, I so appreciate your time. Thank you so much for today. We have all your socials. We will put all your socials on our podcast, and we will have people reach out to you. You have been a phenomenal guest. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's been fun.
Have a fantastic day. Thank you, Joe.
You too.
All right. Thanks for joining me on Make Yourself at Home. I hope you found insights and inspiration to help you navigate your real estate journey with confidence. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and share this show with your friends, because everyone deserves to feel at home. Until next time, stay informed, stay empowered, and keep making moves that matter.